mentally or mentally ill, but she's a liar. I'm not internationally.
Welcome, classic rock fans, to another episode of Classic Song Review, where classic tracks are excavated and explored. And for today's episode, I'd like to talk about a song that's very important to me, one that I grew up with, and that is the Beatles' A Hard Day's Night. It was a Beatles song written by John Lennon, of course, and released in the UK. I think the date was 10th of June 1964 as a single. But it follows... The film Hard Day's Night, of course, follows a pattern in the early 60s where there was a trend for successful pop stars or pop groups to make films, obviously showcasing their music as well. Obviously, this is a trend that's, I think, perhaps started by Elvis Presley in the USA, but of course in the UK you get Tommy Steele, of course, did the Tommy Steele Story. You get Cliff Richard did Summer Holiday. Terry Dean did The Golden Girl, and of course Adam Faith did Beat Girl. For Hard Day's Night, of course, the film actually had the working titles of both titles that were floated were Beatlemania and Let's Go. Of course, both titles were rejected in favour of the now famous Hard Day's Night. As regards the title of the song, apparently it comes from a malapropism or Ringoism, if you like, misuse of words and expressions that he's quite famed for. Now, John Lennon says he mentioned it to Dick Lester, I think, in a taxi, and it was Dick Lester said, "Oh, that's got to be our title." However, Paul McCartney, speaking in an interview in, I think, 1994, disagreed. He said it was actually the band reflecting on what Ringo had said earlier, which actually came up with the title for the song and the album. Which one is ultimately true, I'm not sure. As was the case in those days, I think the song was... kind of wrapped up very quickly. I mean, it's got that wonderful opening chord, that famous chord, which is a real statement of intent. But it was a song that was kind of written in one night, and it was recorded in about 3 hours, I think, at EMI Studio 2 in EMI Studios. And it was actually the ninth take. The ninth take was the final one that they actually used. As regards the writing of the song, I mean, John Lennon, there's a story of John Lennon writing the lyrics on a birthday card that had been sent to his son while riding in a taxi. That actual birthday card is now, I think, kept in the British Library. I don't know if it's on display, but it's kept in the British Library. Interestingly, the single did and the album simultaneously did very well in the UK, as it did in the US. And I think they're the only band to have simultaneously held the #1 spot in the UK and the US for both album and single. So they made history, and that record, nobody beat them on that until I think Simon and Garfunkel in 1970 with Bridge Over Troubled Water. The song certainly struck a chord, no pun intended, certainly with the public as well. It actually won an award, I think in 1965, won the Beatles a Grammy Award for Best Performance by a Vocal Group. And even the press at the time were quite gushing about it. For example, Melody Maker on the 27th of June 64 said, "A great curtain opener for an LP. Record Mirror said the opener was already passing into pop history." Interesting when it comes to the lyrics of the song. I'll quote what I'm indebted here to Wikipedia actually, but it says the lyrics speak about the singer's undying devotion to his lover and how he works so that she can buy things she wants. The singer sings about tiredness when he comes home from work, but how the things that his lover does perk him up. Critics have pointed out that the repeated phrases like "hard day's night," "working like a dog," "sleeping like a log" are rather worn-out expressions, really. But only then the pace is quickened with what they call a patter couplet, reassuring the singer's girlfriend that his energy and pleasure level have been renewed by her ministrations. I've always liked the title of the song. It's a bit quirky, certainly it's oxymoronic, but it's a song that nevertheless relies on a very tired, if you excuse the pun, and overused similes, as I've already said. But nevertheless, the person singing the song makes it clear to his significant other that her affections are actually restorative. For example, he says, when I get you alone, you know I feel okay. When I get home to you, the things that you do, blah, blah, blah. And also, I think at the end of the song, the repetition of I feel all right emphasises the restorative nature of their relationship. So in many respects, it's kind of a nice, well-packaged song with some interesting stuff going on there. And for those of you who haven't seen it, you must catch Peter Sellers reciting the lyrics of this song in the style of Sir Laurence Olivier. It's on YouTube. If you haven't seen that, do check it out. It's really good. Anyway, thank you. You've been watching an episode of Classic Song Review. Please click like, subscribe, check out the Facebook page. But more importantly, please do keep listening.